Hey everybody, we have Chris Schoenberger here from Barbecue Productions, and he has been a client of ours for a number of years. You are from the Chicago area. Where exactly in Chicago are you from, Chris?
So born and raised in Round Lake Beach, which is in the northeast corner of Lake County. Within a couple of last couple of years, my wife and I we moved to Salem, Wisconsin. Just better taxes and better area here. So, but we still a proud supporter of being part of Lake County and from Round Lake Beach, is born and raised.
Yep, and you love the Bears, right?
I love
Yeah,
the Bears.
the
Mike,
Bears,
Mike
right?
Ditka.
Yeah.
Mike Ditka.
When did you? How many years ago has it been since you joined Restaurant Systems Pro?
But you guys 2015.
2015. So we're looking about 5 years, and you've been quite the journey. Talk about your restaurant opening and your story, even about the dream of opening it with your mom and that whole situation, because there's a journey there that I want you to share with everybody.
Yeah, so I used to work for the local police department. I was a community service officer. 2009, 2008, 2009, 2009. I got laid off with the economy. It took a dump at that time, and four of us had lost our jobs. So I knew at the time that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I just didn't really know exactly what I wanted to do, but I enjoyed cooking. My mom was originally from New York area, Brooklyn, and there was this company out there that she really liked called Mr. Softy, and it was a soft serve ice cream truck that served soft serve ice cream, Carvel ice cream out of a truck. And so we thought about opening up one of them, and we tried doing it, but unfortunately our health department wouldn't give us the licensing for it. So over a few years, I was working a full-time job at the cable company as a salesman, and I was cooking for friends and family. And she said, "Well, since the ice cream truck didn't work out, why don't you open up a restaurant?" And I was like, "Don't know how to run a restaurant, don't know anything about it." She's like, "Well, I'll help you." And I'm like, "Well, you don't know what you're doing either." And she's like, "Well, I ran a cafeteria at Kmart." And I'm like, "That is not the same thing." And she's like, "Come on, we can do this and it'll be fun. And if we do it together and we have fun with what we're doing, we can't fail." And so it took us a couple years, and we were working on catering, doing festivals like that on the weekend. We decided to jump in feet first and opened up our first restaurant in 14. It was a small little 2,000 square foot restaurant, only had 31 seats, uh, 8 bar stools. It was tiny, almost a joke. And so we opened up the first night, and it was a great success. We sold out of everything that we had. Obviously, we don't know what the hell we're doing. So, we sold out. I'm calling my food rep like, "Hey, I sold out of
And
everything."
just so everybody, I want you to hear everybody. We never run out. We sell out. So take that from Chris.
We sold out of everything.
Yeah.
So we sold out of everything we had. So I calling my rep, and I'm like, "Hey, I need more food. I need more food." And he's like, "All right, I'll get you some more tomorrow." So when I told my mom to go home that night, and we reconvened the next morning, my mom was in charge of all the sides. I was in charge of all the main items, and so it was a soft menu, really limited menu, but we did well. So she went home, and I went home next morning. Same thing, getting ready to get prepped, but unfortunately, mom never showed up. And so I know she had a doctor's appointment that day. She was having an earache, and so I just figured maybe she went home and kind of fell asleep and didn't come back and was whatever. So I was just more kind of into the restaurant, didn't really think anything. That night, my wife and I, we went home and still hadn't heard from my mom. We decided to drive over to her house and check on her, and unfortunately, she had passed away that night. And sometime overnight, we don't know exactly the exact time frame, but the I'm sorry, she didn't pass away that night. I found my mom in a bad state, so she had it's called sepsis, and the sepsis got in her blood and started shutting down some of her organs, and so I thought she was having a seizure, or that something was going on. So the paramedics came, took her to the hospital. They noticed that some of the organs were shutting down. She was on life support for about 24 hours. My wife and I and my brothers, we decided to take turns on who was going to stay with her, hoping that she was going to come out of this sepsis shock that they call it. And so overnight, it was the next night, overnight, I was with her and kind of like rubbing her hand. I felt a slight little squeeze and saw the things going up on her, like the monitor at the hospital. So I thought she was coming out of it. I called the doctors in, and that was it. And so she passed away holding my hand. and it was tough. It was really, really tough. At the time, I hadn't thought about it, but like, this was our dream. Like, I'm in the middle of opening up a restaurant, and the one who's supposed to be doing it with me, unfortunately, just passed away. So it was tough, and so obviously I had to take some time and take care of all that. And, it just so happened to be that the last picture that I took was my first day that I had with my mom. I'm sorry, first day at the restaurant. And it was with my first grade teacher and my mom in the first day of my
I've
restaurant.
seen that picture. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, my teacher, her name is Mrs. Asma Sharon. My mom hated her picture taken. And so she told my mom, she said, "Come on, Denise, how many times are you going to get to take, how many opportunities are you going to have to take this picture again?"
Mm-hmm.
And it's those words that just make me like, she's right. Nothing's ever promised. Nothing's ever, nothing's ever guaranteed except for taxes and death. And unfortunately, she got the short end of the stick, and we lost a great person. But fast forward, I think my mom's doing exactly what she said she was going to do, and that's she's going to help me. I feel her every day. Each restaurant that I build, I feel that it's her home, and that she anytime you come over to her house, whether it's me or my brother's friends, whatever, every day always felt like my mom was one of the dudes. And it's like that was my mom's nickname. It's still my phone is dude. And so she'd always make you feel at home. And so that's what we do. We build our restaurants. I was very, very happy. The first restaurant that we built just really kind of exploded. We did 4 expansions with that restaurant in a matter of 2 years. And then we decided to buy a restaurant and grow. We bought Lake Zurich, which is our second location. We bought that in 2017. So that was like 3 years later.
Yeah.
We built that in about 6 months, opened that up. That's been going great. We had a couple of low months. Obviously, learning how to go from 1 to 2 has been an adjustment. And then we bought our third one shortly after that one. It was just right deal, right time. I was part of SSP. I was learning my numbers. I was fine tuning my numbers, and now here we are, 2020, opening up a third location, the one in Kenosha, in the middle of a pandemic, but ready to go.
What people think you're crazy, but yeah, it's like, what are you doing in this? I'm seeing a lot of people saying, why are you even trying to help restaurants right now? Everything is hopeless, and it's and you are the person that is motivating me to say, well, restaurants are here. Restaurants will always be here. People will always need restaurants, and they're not going away ever. And it's people like you that are going to weather this, and it's the spirit of your mom that motivates you, and understanding that you have a responsibility to your mom's spirit and memory, to your family, your kids, your community, and your employees. All of them, and it's a big burden to bear, and you have this resiliency that is just inspiring, Chris, and that's why we're talking. I'm choosing just a few of our clients to speak to the masses on this. And
yeah, one of the big things you said, the key word there was community, and I think a lot of restaurants, I don't want to say a lot of restaurants, but that's one thing that really kind of holds near and dear to what I do. If it wasn't for the community supporting us, we wouldn't be who we are. And so it's like every single time that we've had something significant happen, something significant has happened to the community. And so we take those opportunities and we kind of blow them up as far as how to make it in something positive. So when we first opened our Third Lake store shortly after my mom had passed away, the town that I'm in is super small. It's called Third Lake, Illinois. It's literally one intersection. You blink and you missed it. And I'm on that intersection, but we're surrounded by a bunch of big towns, which is what's helpful. But about a month after we opened, after my mom had passed, a tornado hit our town. And it's the second time in like 20 years that a tornado hit this small town. And so within a matter of about 3 hours of the tornado hitting the town, we took one of our catering trailers and we drove right to the middle of where the heart of the tornado was, and set up on a street corner, and we served the residents of the community for a whole entire week. We did just under 10,000 meals. and we didn't charge anybody. It was just, it's one of those things where you don't even question what you're doing. You
Right.
just do it and you say, I'll figure it out later.
Mhm.
And so that alone right there,
Mhm.
I wasn't doing it for anything other than the fact of it was the right thing to do.
Mhm.
And sometimes I have this motto, sometimes doing the right thing means going against the things that are not the right thing.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so, people are like, oh, well, you're in the restaurant industry, you have to make money.
Mhm.
Yeah, but doing the right thing, you just have to do it. Sometimes it may not be the right thing, but you have to do it. And
Right.
so people to this day still talk about the tornado of 2014 and about what we did and stuff like that. And I didn't realize how much of a lasting impression that would have on the community. And it's like, same thing when Hurricane Sandy happened in 2000, what was that, 9, 10, whatever it was. We did the same thing. We drove out to the East Coast, no plan in sight. We just loaded up our catering trailers, loaded up with a bunch of food, and we.
Oh, so this is just you and do that, just you and your mom?
No, it was me and two buddies. My mom stayed home because obviously my mom had a job still.
Yeah.
But when Hurricane Sandy happened, again, I like to help people. I want to be part of the community. Well, obviously, I'm seeing what happened in the news, and I'm like, there's going to be a lot of people that aren't going to. And this is at the time when I was just getting started. I like to cook, and I'm like, well, heck, I got a grill, I got a trailer, I got a freezer, I can cook. So we went out to Hurricane Sandy, and we went out to Queens in New York. We went out to New Jersey. And we ended up doing, we were on a street corner right outside of State Senator Joey Adabo's office. And we served the people of Queens and Brooklyn. We did it for 9 days. We had to get out of there because there was another storm coming. And we didn't want to be, obviously, we don't want to be stuck there. But we did, I think it was 15,000 meals in 9 days. And people to this day still talk about it. So it's like, that happened and that happened. And now the pandemic happened. And so again, how do we take that and turn it into a positive?
So you have this heart of service. You have this heart of service, and I always like to say it's service, not servitude, and that's the attitude. And when you were planning this with your mom, you guys weren't standing there going, "Hey, let's build a restaurant empire and make millions of dollars," right? No. You just want to say, let's get together, let's invite people into our home, serve them a great meal, and make them happy. And yes, we need to make money. Yes, we need to be profitable. And yes, our company is saying, hey, we can double your profits. We can do these things for you. But I think what we do more than anything that's more valuable and lasting is we enable you to serve your community better. We help you. Yep.
So that wasn't the plan, actually. So when you say like to make a profit, if you remember when I first met you guys, I didn't know what that word meant. Because this was what I did as for fun, as a hobby. Like I got into the restaurant industry by mistake. It's like, I like to cook. I had this thing where it's like, all right, I came to you and you're like, I remember my first time I met you and, and I'm sitting in the classroom for your guys' 3-day workshop. And again, my mom had passed away. So I felt alone and I'm like, okay, well, this is no longer going to be a hobby. I got to make this into something. And so I first walked into your guys' your 3-day class, and I was at an 84% prime, and that's food and labor only.
Yeah.
So I didn't even look at the fact of I opened up a restaurant with $10 in the bank account, and I didn't look at the fact of if I want to survive this, I have to make a profit. So when I met you, and you guys start talking to me about P&L, profit and loss, your prime costs, I was like, what the hell are you talking about?
Recipe costing cards, inventory,
recipe costing cards, inventory. And I'm like, and I still remember to this day, the very first thing that you guys said to me, and that was that you guys create work. And it's like you said that, and I'm like, oh God, one of these people. But I think at the end of the day, and even now, even my employees now who use the system, like we're opening up our store in Kenosha, and the very first thing that my manager said is, can you get everything switched over because we need our recipe cards. We need like not yesterday, but Monday we got our first delivery. We got all of our invoices, all of our food. And I went in there today because my guys have been working really, really hard. I was going to surprise them and go in and do all their invoices for them and get them all in. Guess what? They're all done already. So it's like, you create work, but now you're training people who've never heard of SSP or RSP.
Yeah.
You're training these people to use the system, and now they don't know how to function unless they.
It's just part of their life. It just becomes what you do, right? Yeah.
It is, and at first it's hard. Like you nailed it right on the head. It's not easy. It's gonna take work, but you guys have taken a guy who was getting an 84% prime cost, and now we average about 54 to 56. But now it's even the employees are like, they're waiting for Monday morning. They want to see their report card. They want to see how they did. And it's like, last week we had a 51%, or 2 weeks ago we had a 51%. And they're like, in a pandemic, a 51%. You know, and it's like they're excited to see it. So,
right. So we're talking to people that are in our system. That's cool. Obviously, we want them in the system. But what can they? So right now, you've served it. So now, how did you serve your community during the pandemic? Let's talk about that.
So obviously, when the pandemic happened, right away, another thing, catastrophe, and I'm trying to think, all right, how can I make this into something good? And so, for us, when they said, hey, we're going to be shut down for 2 weeks, I'm like, holy cow, this is going to be hard. How am I going to survive 2 weeks of being shut down? Well, here we are going on 9 months. And it's like, I looked at it the other day, I'm like, holy shit, like I've made it 9 months. Like, and that's the other thing too. It's like, if I can survive this, I can survive anything. So when it first happened, obviously we have the elite group, and, just hearing all the different things that the elite group talks about, and, Dan and the things that he did with his to-go drinks, and my brain was spinning because I'm like, holy cow, there's so much I can do listening to what Ralph was doing down in Florida. And it's like, Steve with his margaritas and Gumby's pizza. So trying to take all that and make my own and figure out what I can do. And so I looked at our recipe costing cards, I looked at our labor, and I created an economy menu of just 2 items. Originally we did it was just over $5, but then meat pricing started going up and a bunch of other pricing started going up. And then our wonderful governor, in the middle of the pandemic, decided to do a minimum wage increase. So, in the middle of July, when we're shut down, he raises minimum wage. So we increased it to $6. So we have a meal deal for $6 or $12. And what we did is we put it on our website. People can go on there, they can buy either a sandwich, a pulled pork sandwich or a pulled chicken sandwich with a side, or they can do a combo, like a meat combo with 2 sides. And we would take that and we would deliver it to a local hospital, hospital, police department, fire department, and being able to feed first responders. Obviously, with everything that's going on, nurses and doctors are overwhelmed. They're working hard. So we wanted to take care of them. And so when we launched this on our website, we did a huge Facebook blast. I didn't expect it to do what it did. And so, we put it out there and it's like, hey, if we can go deliver to a couple local hospitals, we will.
Or you asked the community to partner with you, right? And
correct. And I was like, hey, let's help out. So I still remember the picture that I took. I still remember the night that I went, and it was to Condell Hospital in Libertyville. And I took 50 sandwiches, 50 sides, individually packaged everything. And it was probably 11 o'clock midnight. And I dropped it off, and I took a picture of my catering truck with me in front of the emergency room. And I just told the story. And I just said, hey, I'm a business owner. I want to try to make a difference. I want to try to help people. And that post alone, I didn't boost it. I didn't do anything. I just talked from my heart. And we got over 60,000 impressions in a matter of like 2 days. And so our website, had blown up, and people were asking how they can help out and how they can, help us so we can do more. And I was like, crap, I got to do something even better. So I put it on our website, and I said, hey, we're going to launch a goal of doing 10,000. And my employees are like, 10,000? Like, how are we going to get it out to them? How are we going to do this? How are we going to do that? So I was like, listen, I think we can do it. It's just going to take some hard work. And so, I'm not going to go through all the long details from this because we're short here. And at the end of the day, we ended up doing 14,444 meals. And it took us, a little bit more than a month. I wanted to do it in a month, but it took 6 weeks. I was happy with that. A lot of driving, a lot of nurses and doctors. The funny thing is, another one that stands out, I still remember we went to this ER, but it was an animal ER. I was out delivering meals one night, because the third shift people was ones who typically get forgotten. So I'd go out at 11 o'clock, and I'd go out till 4 in the morning hitting up hospitals. And I just prepackage all these individual meals. And I still remember I see this animal hospital, and it's huge. And I call over there because I'm sitting in the parking lot, and I'm like, hey, I'm with Barbecue Productions. I want to bring you guys some free meals. And they're like, why? And I'm like, just want to
Yeah,
thank
what's
you.
what's the catch?
Yeah,
right?
that's exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm like, so they transferred me to like their head veterinarian, told him the story. And he's like, you want to give us free food? And I'm like, yeah, I just want to say thank you for your service, blah, blah, blah. 15 minutes. And then finally they realized that there was no catch.
Yeah.
I brought them and I was like, how many people you got working tonight? And it was like 80. So I gave them enough food for 80 people.
Uh-huh.
And they're like, holy shit, this is awesome.
Yeah.
And then the other day I'm talking to my catering guy and he's bringing a catering order and I look at the name and it's that animal hospital.
Oh.
So it's like, man, that's cool.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
So
it's that community just feeding,
it's like this cycle. And it's like, you see, we had our record breaking Thanksgiving this year.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I look at the names that are on the Thanksgiving orders.
I saw you have the stack of orders.
Yeah,
like,
our best year for Thanksgiving was 21 grand, and that was last year. This year we did $63,000 on Thanksgiving. And
wow.
Here's the thing: if you have to go out and buy equipment to make orders happen, that's a good problem.
Those are the good problems.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
it's one of those.
You always have problems to solve. You solve one problem, you create another problem, right? Yeah. Wow.
So yeah, it's so even today, our feeder program to our first responders and medical professionals, and it's still going. So every time we get another 50 or 60 meals, we take it to another hospital, another police department, another fire department, and we just keep it going. And so it's another thing that's been on there. And so the cool thing about it is that the cost of these meals is no profit. It's simply to keep the employees employed, pay the food bill, and pay the rent, and pay the bills to keep the business running. Because my philosophy right now,
a $6 sandwich, that's obvious, Yeah, it's not a $6. Yeah, are you kidding?
So, and this goes back to what I talked to you about when I first came into you guys. I didn't know what profit was. I didn't care about that. And so I'm kind of going back to my roots where it's like, I don't care as long as I can float through now. I can worry about all that later. I can worry about making money, building an nest egg later, as long as I can get through this. And here we are 9 months in, and we're making it.
You're essentially, what you're also doing is you're getting, it's no profit, but you're essentially helping the community, and you're getting your marketing paid for by helping the community. So it's like, instead of laying out all these dollars, you're doing a really positive thing, keeping people employed, and it's getting the word out there too. And that's not why you do it. It's just a side benefit, and there's nothing wrong with that because you are serving the community well.
Yeah, and it goes back to what I said originally. If you take care of the community will take care of you. And that's, we wrote my core value statement, and it's like, when I didn't know anything about core values. And so when, when I first came to you guys and I sat down, I did the core values statement thing with David, and I went through all that stuff. I was like, first of all, I was like, this is really in depth. And it got kind of emotional a little bit, like similar to when we first started talking here. And it's like, but that's who I am. And to be able to take that and put that on paper, it's like I'm opening today, and no joke, that the biggest thing that's on my mind right now is I don't have my core values out on people to see it.
Yeah.
Because it's like, that's important.
Yeah.
And so if you guide your restaurant, you guide your employees to always guide and make their decisions based on your core values, they can never make a wrong decision. And so it's like, going in opening day here, and I'm like, shit, I forgot my core values. I got to get them out. You would have asked me that,
So opening day, we're talking today. What are you doing today? You're talking to me this morning. What's happening tonight?
We're opening up a restaurant.
I love it. We haven't said that to everybody yet. That's amazing.
We're
tonight.
Opening store 3, and
that's awesome.
Now we're going on. We're 6 hours.
And you're getting that negative social media a little bit. Like, what are you doing? It's the middle of the pandemic. Why are you doing this? Why are you? Same thing. I'm getting the note. Because we're helping restaurants. They're like, why do you even bother? Everybody's it's all going down. The industry's failed. That's the messages I'm getting like crazy. And it's just not true. It's just not true. It's true for some, sadly, and our heart breaks for that. But what we're trying to do is what's the path to take? So what advice do you have for that person that's there? They're watching right now. Their world is crumbling around. The government just shut them down. What advice do you have for that person that they're hurting right now and they're listening to us?
So just as you said that right there, I can feel in here in my eyes, I can feel the emotion coming out already.
Yeah.
No joke. This is straight up from me. I was there. I was there a few months ago. Me and you have shared the stories many times. My third location almost cost me my whole entire business. Ran into issues with the purchase of the property. Had to file a lawsuit, which we ultimately won, but it took 3 years. But I almost lost everything I owned. And so then the pandemic happened. And so I hear these stories every day. Not only mom and pops, big companies. Gibson Steakhouse closing down, Morton Steakhouse closing down. All these chains, all these mom and pops. Like, it's hard. It's super freaking hard right now. And it's like myself, who is doing okay enough to survive. I want to just hug these people and say, listen, you can do this. And so I think the problem is that there's been so many punches thrown to these people that they don't think that there is any options. And so while sometimes that's it, but I still remember the advice that I got from a great Steve Brown. And you know the quote. I'm going to say it here, but in one of our elite meetings, I was in the dumps. Both my bank accounts were negative, and I thought it was over. And Steve Brown said that he doesn't realize on how much he.
It hit me. It hit me when he said it. It hit me too, because
Dude, it's one of the greatest quotes that I've ever heard somebody say. But you're not running a restaurant until you're running in a restaurant where your bank accounts are negative. And
the grind. Yeah.
Dude, that guy, Steve Brown, like, he's awesome, man. He's truly awesome. He doesn't, like, I look up to him so much, and I met him through you guys. It's like a simple guy, Cowboy fan, but a simple guy. And it's like, I look up to him so much. Like,
we're both here crying, dude. Like,
dude, I'm sorry, but like, I built my first elite meeting was at his house when we went down to Texas, and I met him, and I saw his house. I was like, man, I want to be like this guy someday. I want to be like him so much that I built the same exact deck that he has at his house at my house right now. Like that.
But you didn't. But you weren't seeing the thing at that time is you weren't seeing his 25 years in business, right? You're like, I want to be that tomorrow. Yeah,
I get it, but
yeah,
again, I heard that quote that day, and I had to make some tough freaking decisions, man. Some really tough decisions.
So while you're talking, I'm going to bring something up, okay? It's a slide from one of my webinars. So go ahead, though. Let's see.
But I had to make some tough decisions. But when Steve said that to me, and I know what Steve has now and where he's at and what he's gotten to, and I'm like, man, if that guy can do that, so can I. So, yeah, there he is right there. I mean,
I'm gonna. So this is a slide that I use. So on the left is the CEO of Darden Restaurants, Gene Lee. Yep. Like, okay, Red Lobster, Olive Garden, right?
Yep.
He's in charge of 1,812 restaurants, and his salary is $1 million, right? You'd think he's kind of a badass, right?
Yeah.
But on the right, the person you're talking about, he calls himself El Presidente. He is El Presidente. From as far as this Steve Brown, one restaurant, 1.2 million annual salary on him. Yeah. He's kind of a badass, and he's operated his restaurant with a negative bank account.
Yeah.
But those negative, and so what you're speaking to is these trials in our life. It sharpens us, and it's really difficult to sit here and say, I'm so grateful for my hard times. It's really especially when you're in the middle of them.
And it's like, I've shared a lot of stories with you, and it's like, knowing where I was, where I'm at now, the shit that I've been through, not only as a restaurant, but, my dark years of being in my middle school of suicide and depression, and to go from those dark couple of days where I didn't want to live anymore. And this is, I was bullied all my life because I was always the fat kid, and, and I talk about it because I can deal with it now, and I've learned how to deal with it. And I hope my story can help somebody someday. Like I just talked about this with one of my new employees at our new store, and it's like, listen, bullying has been around forever. And it's like racism, it sucks, and it's everywhere. And we try to make bullying end, and we try to make racism end. And it's one of those things where I don't know if you ever can. And so I've had to learn how to deal with a lot of things myself. And he agreed with what I was saying. Like, we're never going to get rid of it. We have to learn how to adjust and adapt. And it sucks. But those dark days of where I was and what I'm doing now and where I'm at now, people ask me, why are you opening up a restaurant in the middle of this? Why are you opening up in the middle of a pandemic? And aren't you struggling? And aren't you having, yeah, I'm struggling. Everybody's struggling. But that's what gives you the fire. Think about it. If I was doing what I was doing every single day and nothing was a problem, nothing was a struggle, I'm doing something wrong. Yeah. And so, my biggest thing is as I want somebody to look at me or my company, whether it be my employees or, our customers, our community, and say, those guys are doing great things. And so, this goes back to my core values that, we created. And I want to be somebody for somebody, and, growing up, those dark days to where I'm at now, all I can hope is that the legacy that I've left is somebody can look at it and say he did something right.
Yeah, you're doing some volunteering with coaching football too, to reach those youth too. I mean, I think that's just so awesome. I think working with our youth is one of the most important things that you can be doing. And
I share a lot of the same stories, and people in my company make fun of me all the time for it because I compare running a restaurant to coaching football. And when I told them I was going to go coach football, they said, "Tell you what, we'll support you coaching football as long as you talk to them like they're a bunch of restaurant people." Yeah. So
oh my gosh,
there's the trade-off, I guess, right?
Man, Chris, would you say you're coming out of this stronger?
Yeah, in the wrong, yes. Not only am I coming out stronger, but my brother Kevin says something that he's been saying since I was a child, and it's part of our family motto, and that's what doesn't kill you only makes you stronger. And I'm a big believer of that. Again, I've gone through just some tough shit in my life, and eventually it was my 2020 goal. It didn't happen, but my eventual goal is to write a book. Just from this
it was just giving you more content is all.
Yeah, it's going from where I was here to what I'm doing now, and figuring out who you are as a person. And so even now, anybody watching this video, if you feel that you're alone with anything, you have Fred, you have his company you can reach out to for help. I'm on open book. You can reach out to me on my Facebook.
Yeah, to let everybody know how they can reach out to you.
Yeah, reach out to me on our Facebook, Barbecue Productions, BBQ''D Productions. My email address is Chris, KRIS, @WeGrillItAll.com. Check us out on social media. Check us out on our website. But honestly, like, if you're a restaurant owner and you're struggling and you don't want to talk to, Fred because he's intimidating.
Or you think I might want to sell you something?
Yeah. Honestly, I'm not here. And I tell this to our customers. I am an open book. Because again, I didn't know. When I went in and it's like, oh, you mean to tell me that I'm going to pay $24.95 for a steak and potato? I can make that at home for $5. I'll show you what it costs to run a restaurant. Yeah. I'll show you what it costs to. And so same thing, like
it's the experience.
I have talked to so many people through our elite group about how we bounce ideas off each other. I have people here in the area that I've talked to, but the biggest thing is, and it's like, I think it's an old saying of like alcoholics or whatever it is. You can't help somebody who doesn't say, "Hey, I want some help."
Yeah.
And I learned a long time ago when I came to you guys, it's okay. It's okay to not know everything.
Right.
And even if you think you know everything, it's okay to get brushed up on those skills.
Chris, that's a problem in the industry. People think that if I don't know something, that there's something wrong with me, that, that I'm supposed to know everything. And it's really, in the other industries, it's okay. But real estate, education, sales, construction, like if you name it, if I go to a conference or I have a consultant help me, or I have a software tool or any of those things, people are just like pat on the back. Wow, you're making yourself better and continually learning. For some reason, in the restaurant business, everybody's like, "What's the matter with you? Don't you know everything? Are you going out of business?" Like, and it's a last ditch effort, and it's just weird. It's just a weird. I think TV has created that a little bit.
Here's the other thing that's crazy. and I said, I'm gonna steal this from you. And David said the same exact thing to me the very first day I met you guys. Give me an hour walking through someone's restaurant and I can find them $10,000.
Yep. David says that. Yeah.
Here's a
Yeah.
prime example.
Mm-hmm.
I have a friend whose name is Steve. He owns a hot dog stand. Okay. And we've had the conversations before.
Yep.
Hot dog stands, are smaller margins, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So Steve, same thing. He was in law enforcement, got out of law enforcement, opened up a hot dog stand. And so he was paying one of his employees $50,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
And his average sales is about $600,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
So,
one employee. Mm-hmm.
One employee.
Mm-hmm.
And so, he didn't know anything about food costs, stuff like that. So I went in there and I sat down and talked to him one day. And again, he's one of those guys like, no, I'm good slinging hot dogs. Like, let me just come in there and talk to you. Mm-hmm. So I go through there and I'm looking and I ordered some food and I'm like, I can tell you right now, I could probably save you probably about $3,000-$4,000 a year by one thing.
Yeah.
And he's like, really? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, you want to bet on it? I'll bet you lunch. You know what I taught him how to do?
What?
Portion French fries.
Mm-hmm.
He portioned French fries now, and no shit, last year alone, he saved $4,200.
And that was just off the top of your head, right? And then it's everything, right?
First thing I saw, I asked him, how many ounces of fries do you give people? He's like, that big?
Yeah.
I'm like, what if your guy next to you, his hands are this big?
Yeah.
So, like, same thing. Like, you don't got to buy nothing from me at all. Talk to me. I'll show you instantly where you can save money. Because of the things you have to talk.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's amazing. Chris, thanks for pouring your heart out. People are hurting right now and they need to hear a message of hope. And I just appreciate you taking the time.
That's the biggest thing. Even though they think they are, they're not alone. There's people out there like myself, other people in our industry, like you just have to find those people. But you and me and your employees, like you guys, and I said this a long time ago in one of my last videos with you, it's like football analogy again. It's like if I'm going to go out there and I want to win the big game and I want to win the Super Bowl, and I have the opportunity to be coached by either the high school coach or Mike Ditka, I'm going to choose Mike Ditka.
Man, dude. Thanks, man. Thank you.
Honestly, like I back up what you guys do, and I put my own mouth on it because again, you guys. But at the same time, it's not easy and it's work.
Right. We still work. Yeah.
And at that point, you have two options. You either can put the work in and make it happen and survive, or that's it. And so I made the decision a long time ago that this is what I'm going to do. I want to make profit. I want to make money, and you can. And so it's between you and the advice I got from Steve Brown and everybody, like, man, it's incredible. Like,
it's still you though. I mean, we're giving you systems and processes, but your restaurant at your core is you. It's not us. We're just giving you a tool to execute. It's like we, if I like to use this analogy where I had this chef that was like, I run my restaurant and you can't influence my restaurant. And he wanted me out of there.
I love people.
And I said, look, this is like, it's like I came up to you and I handed you the most balanced, cold steel, sharpest chef knife you ever had. And then you go out and you make this dish and you put this dish out and you set it down. And then I stand up and go, hey, everybody, look at this dish I made. And I didn't create a dish. All I did was give a tool to a chef so that he can do his creation. And I don't stand back there. That dish is his. Those results are his. The results are yours. Your restaurant has your heart and your soul. And we're just giving you a tool to help you, accomplish your goals and make sure that you're.
It's an overall thing. It's like the automobile. It's like, you got four tires, you got an outside shell, but without an engine and fuel, it can't drive.
Right.
So it's like,
nobody sees that. Yeah.
I might have the car, I might have the wheels, but at least, the right tools and stuff behind you. Because at the end of the day, if there's no fuel going into the gas tank, the car's going to eventually die. So
it's true. And we're seeing a lot of people in our. We're going to end with this. 5 out of the 600 plus restaurants that are in our systems have gone out of business forever. The NRA just said 1 out of 6, and it's likely going to be higher than that. 1 out of 6 restaurants. So I just said 5 out of 600 for our restaurants. So it's like 1 out of 100. It's like a little bit over 1%. NRA just said 1 out of 6 has gone forever. We're calling people from our list, and we're finding that 30% of people are gone forever of the people that we're calling. you know. So it's not just us, it's a systems minded, process driven restaurant that's surviving, you know.
You know, one of the things that I'll say is that the ability to forecast things out and being able to adjust, you know, like you give us the tools, you know, for me to be able to forecast our sales, even with the pandemic, and I can make the adjustments before it happens. You know, a lot of times you're making decisions based on after effects.
Yeah, right.
And it's like if you can change that to instead of an after effect to a before effect, again, you might have to make some difficult decisions, but if you're making a decision before something happens, you can make it to where you can survive versus after shit, I've already spent the money, it's already gone. How do I bounce back? That and that's unfortunately, even before I met you guys, that's how I ran the business. I always ran
that's how most do it, the rear view mirror, right?
They do it as an after effect. And you know, again another slogan, there's a reason why the mirror is smaller than the windshield in front of you.
Yes.
You know? And so it's like I remember the first day, one of the first days I met you guys told me your biggest cripple right now is your chef. You know, and if you remember my very first chef, Esteban, you know, I didn't think I could run the company without him. And if I didn't take the advice of what you guys saying, hey, fire this guy. I remember the day I fired him and I called you and I'm like, Fred, I just did it. And you're like, okay, let's go now. And if I didn't do that, I wouldn't be opening my third store right now. You know, so it's like, and I'm a big video guy. I still have videos of my, you know, very first chef that I ever had, and I liked him. He was a great guy.
Yeah.
Not good in the kitchen. Not a good numbers guy. Can make a great dish, but unfortunately, if you don't know the math equation that makes that dish, you're out of business.
Right.
So, but yeah, looking at where we were in 2014 and 15 to where I'm at now on how food is made and prepared and how we're making money with it, night and day difference.
Amazing. Well, thank you, Chris. I know you got to go open a restaurant today. So I just want to thank you.
I think we'll do that.
Okay. This is awesome. Well, all right. Well, you go kill it tonight. Friends and family night, right?
Friends and family soft opening.
Okay.
And again, weird thing. I'm opening up a restaurant. I'm doing a video here with you. I'm opening up in 6 hours, right? And my phone's blowing up. I don't know who the hell it is.
But, I know. I heard it. Yeah.
But I'm not scared. I'm not nervous. I'm nervous about holding it together. That's what I'm nervous about. But I have my managers all there taking care of stuff. Yeah. This is the first store. I didn't hire the GM. I didn't hire the AGM. And I didn't hire any of the employees.
Wow.
So it's like I walk in. And this is the first time nobody's got my phone number. So it's like I walk in, they're like, hey, so-and-so's got a question, and they're already talking to somebody else, and they're making the decisions based on
the new employees are, who's that guy over there?
Yeah.
Like,
I tell people I'm the janitor.
Yeah.
All the time.
I love it.
Or in Steve Brown's words, I'm the busboy.
Busboy, yeah. Busboy. Yeah. Steve, so for everybody, Steve has a busboy license plate on his Bentley.
Yeah.
Too. So that's pretty cool.
But I also just want to end it on one thing, and that is thanks.
Oh man, thank you. It's that community thing, right? And we're all here supporting each other.
Can't give you a hug, man, but I just want to give you a huge hug.
My company's nothing without you.
Yeah.
It's absolutely nothing.
You've changed my life, man. That's all I can say.
Love you, Chris. Thank you, man.
Love you too, buddy.
All right. Thanks. Go get them. We'll see you later. All right. Bye.